Oh.
So Project Deus. That sounds ominous. What can you tell me?
Look, I'd really prefer not to talk about it.
I get that you're not a fan, but why all this? A rebellion over a rich guy's pet project? It doesn't track.
What's there to track? Apparently, during their giant asshole convention, the meatheads at Skeltech came up with a way to cheat death. Project Deus is their elitist method of transferring the minds of the richest 0.1% into computers. It's not hard to figure out where that leaves the rest of us. So excuse me if I'm a little pissed off.
Jesus. Surviving death by living on as a machine. Doesn't sound much like surviving to me.
Me either. It's in the name, Brute Squad. Project Deus isn't about cheating the god of death, it's about becoming him. For these people, it means absolute power. That's what the outcasts are fighting against.
Kidnapping Madeira and sending out hunting parties? Sounds like Stone's got a big heart-on for you suddenly.
Sudden, maybe. You really think we had anything to do with him declaring martial law? Stone would have found a way no matter what happened.
That's one hell of an endorsement.
At least Walker seemed to have a purpose. But if he ever thought he was in control, he was fooling himself. It's only ever a matter of time before Stone remembers he doesn't play well with others.
Your people look like they're barely holding it together.
What, you mean these nerd farmers aren't ready for Brute Squad boot camp? It was hard enough turning these pocket-protecting 4-H'ers onto vandalism, but infiltration and sabotage? It's a goddamn miracle that we've survived this long. But we're not fooling ourselves. We know at the end of the day, we're just standing with our fingers in a dike.
Yeah, well, the tide's coming in. Surviving off the grid is one thing, but if you don't start punching above your weight, you're gonna get slaughtered. If you don't think your lot's up for that, best thing would be to scatter to the wind.
If not us, then who?
Let me ask you something. Why South Cape Station? Liberty's right next door, and it wouldn't take much for Sentinel to surround you and cut you off from everything.
It's rare that outcast cells stay put more than a few days. Nature of the beast, I guess. With this place, we were just looking for something more permanent where we could stockpile supplies and safeguard assets. The landfill keeps away Sentinel and Skeller tourists from the capital. We're right near to our fields of operation and close enough to Sentinel that we won't show up on radar. As far as security's concerned, the Creek does a decent job of keeping us hidden, and looking out at the cabins is a bonus.
How did Sentinel Corp take control of Varroa?
Skell hired them to deal with us initially once he realized that he had some resistance against transhumanism, his own private militia. They started making arrests, so a few of us went to ground and our sympathizers followed, thinking they'd leave us alone once we were outside of the cities.
But they didn't?
Stone got permission to operate outside Liberty and Infinity, and Skell let him set up shop in the Cold War installations to patrol the wild. Once they got there, they did just enough to keep us at bay, while using us as cover to bring in men and vehicles, which he hid from Skell in some underground bunkers, which of course are now called Camp Ferret and Camp Weasel.
Son of a bitch has a sense of humor.
We were watching the whole thing happen. And when they grew strong enough, they took over. They literally came up out of the ground. Skell had no idea what hit him.
If I was looking for a fight, where should I go?
With Sentinel Corp, you that hard up?
Trigger finger needs its exercise.
Well, Sentinel patrols the city centers and industrial complexes pretty heavily, though there's always civilians around, so I'd keep away from those if you can help it. Then there's the settlements they built when they first got here, in the southwest and northeast, where they keep their reserve garrison and store resources.
That sounds like more fun than anybody should be allowed to have.
If you're looking for more of a skirmish, you could check out one of Oroa's many Cold War-era bunkers left courtesy of Uncle Sam. They also set up some transportable structures and took over some Skell architecture. Basically, if you see a green storage container-looking thing, Sentinel's probably nearby. Of course, if you don't feel like looking that hard, they patrol most of the island 24/7, so you could just pick a spot and wait.
I want to know about the bombing.
It was a mistake.
There was nothing strategic about the Skell Foundation. It was an office building. You weren't even at war yet, so why do it at all?
Attention? Skelltech completely ignored us when we tried to meet with them about transhumanism. We've been getting the runaround in Aurora's parliament, who were a bunch of Skelltech groupies anyway. There was no other way to get people to wake up about what was really happening.
Well, you're the reason Skell brought Sentinel Corp to Aroa. Is he awake enough for you?
Skell deserves what he's getting. At least there's justice in that. But no, I didn't want this.
Is it over? Or do you plan on playing terrorists some more?
We aren't terrorists. We were activists who went too far. Now I'm not sure what we are. But causing civilian casualties again would destroy whatever ethical glue is still holding us together.
How do the outcasts manage to sustain themselves out here?
Barely. None of us have the skills or equipment to farm or fish. Even if we did, it'd bring us a boatload of attention that we couldn't afford. Once in a while, a civilian will leave some food at a dead drop, but it's risky and never much. Best bet's always to steal from farms and raid Sentinel supplies, but of course they're protected. Then there's still the matter of getting the supplies out to as many cells as possible while avoiding detection.
Nobody thinks about food at first. That's why so many groups who call themselves revolutionaries end up as bandits. Even if you don't think it's possible now, you'll want to be careful you don't drift that way. I was out at Darkwood Island. It looked like Skell built a city and abandoned it. Unless he's planning on turning Aroa into a movie backlot, I can't quite figure out why he'd do something like that.
How else would he test the AI in his drones? The archipelago is chock full of dedicated training fields.
God damn it. The ones training there were combat models. Sentinel's building a whole army. Can you tell me why Sentinel's got a prison set up in the survival shelter complex?
Nope, never been. Never planned to either, but I've heard about it. Given Skell's vision, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. An illegal prison in a remote fortress, on top of a mountain, surrounded by ice and snow where no one in their right mind would go looking? No offense.
None taken, but the size of the place is insane. It looked like you could fit Aroa's whole population up there.
I can't see a scenario where Sentinel would use all the space, but clearly they were thinking big, which gives one pause.
Well, I retired Ilsa Herzog, who was running the place, but I'm sure that's not gonna do anyone any good. We'll just have to see. Any advice for a fight in World 2.0?
The name of the game is take out their drones faster than they can launch them. It's a bitch, but that's why we always carry jammers that'll shut off any live drone or vehicle happening by. At least for a while. Another option would be to make your peace with the devil and use sync-shot drones to take out specific targets.
Sync-shot drones.
They only target humans, though. They can't target drones. There's also a variation on the Legion drone, the ones in the drone swarm. They're like little flying guns that basically take aim in any direction and wait for a signal to execute their target.
Got any lying around?
No can do. We mostly leave those things alone. Kind of goes against what we're trying to be.
Sounds like just another weapon to me.
If you're inclined, you can get them hot out of the oven from Skelltech labs or assembly lines. Hell, even some startups might have them. And come to think of it, the Omega Center ought to have plenty.
See you later, Haruhi.
Not if I see you first, Brute Squad.
Is this what she thought it was? You ever seen anything quite
for a second. I'm trying to concentrate on this. Now,
Hi. Relax. No need to be afraid. Really appreciate it. Goodbye.
Hey, Nomad, what do you know about data security?
A little. Why?
One of Sentinel's sector bosses, Mark Meridian, has gotten a hold of a Skell algorithm that analyzes phone, email, and social media patterns.
Probably a lot of sensitive data in that mess.
Yes. The algorithm takes advantage of online vulnerabilities. Once verified, it can be uploaded to the cloud where everybody in Sentinel can access it. With the data, Meridian can target outcast agents and their families.
So where do I fit into all of this?
Later today, Meridian and his 3 lieutenants are meeting to verify their intel and start the algorithm protocols. I'm hoping you can stop them.
I'm not your private assassin.
I know. But listen, Meridian and his men are heartless. With this info, not only are the outcasts in grave danger, but so are their loved ones.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Where should I start looking?
One of his goons, Sullivan Blake, was last seen on the eastern side of the Good Hope Mountain province. It's north of the God-forsaken Highland. Red Weasel Outpost is around there. After you track him down, he should lead you to the others.
Got it.